bringing you the latest Arizona high school football recruiting news year-round. This is the Recruiting Roundup on ProsToPreps.com.
Welcome in. This is Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. Every week we bring you the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting, and it's the opening week of the high school season. We're going to jump right into the biggest news in the recruiting world that came down on Monday night after a great performance in the Sullenberger Classic. Paul Lucas, the state champion in the 100 meters, beat Devin Allen. He gets offered.
He got his first offer from Oregon State, and what a smart offer by the Beavers. The kid's going to blow up. Everyone was just waiting for him to have good varsity film, and he had it on a huge national stage. Rushed for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns against nationally ranked Bishop Gorman in Mountain Point's win. It
was a great performance from Paul Lucas, and we got to see that speed on display on the football field. I think that's what got a lot of the colleges really excited.
Yeah, he ran a 10.4 400 meters. That's lights out fast.
Lightning fast. Well, now that the football season has started, we're going to every week bring you the Recruiting Roundup Player of the Week. It's going to be a weekly element that we're going to bring you, and it just so happens a teammate of Paul Lucas, Wesley Payne, is our Recruiting Roundup Player of the Week for this week.
Yeah, did great. Had 163 yards rushing and a touchdown. Was all over the field on defense. Played lights out on both sides of the football, and that's why we're going to name him our Player of the Week this week. Big performance for Wesley Payne.
So Mountain Point beating Bishop Gorman, great win for them. It wasn't the only game that happened last weekend. Another team that played in the Sullenberger Classic coming from Tucson, Sal Point Catholic. They had a great performance last weekend.
Yeah, they really beat up on Liberty High School from Nevada. They were led by Andy Cota, their quarterback. What a great game he had. 266 yards throwing, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception, and rushed for another score.
And then on the other side of Andy Cota, he had a guy, on the same side on offense, the guys he threw to, first one, Cameron Denson, had a huge game.
Yeah, he caught five catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The U of A commit had, what a great night for him. The U of A fans are very excited. I saw on Twitter they were blowing him up. Very excited about him.
And then Kalen Dabowski, his teammate on the outside at wide receiver, in his first game with Sal Point since transferring to Texas, had a nice game as well.
4 catches, 121 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Dabowski, a kid who was one of the state of Texas's leading receivers last year, had a good night in his first game in Arizona.
And finally, a great game from last weekend that was here in the Valley was a shootout between Ironwood Ridge and Liberty. Liberty had the advantage early, but Ironwood Ridge got to it on the ground, and that's what was able to put them over the edge. They had a huge day from 2 running backs on their team.
Yeah, 2 kids that really no one has talked about, Cole McLafferty and Jake Vartanian, rushed for 357 total yards between the 2 of them. Ironwood Ridge is known for running the ball. Last year, Tyler Williams and Anthony Braunreiter were their 2 go-to guys last year. These 2 kids had good performances in that 42-40 win.
So the state champions, Ironwood Ridge, start 1-0. Liberty, though, showed some good stuff as well in week 1, so they should be a team to watch out for this season. Now let's look ahead to this week's matchups. There's some great matchups ahead of us this weekend. A lot of teams that are rivals that are no longer in the same section or the same division for that matter that you won't see playing each other as often, but they still schedule each other every week or every year, and they're playing week 1. The first one to hit on, though, is a great matchup. Division I and Division II, Centennial and Chandler, 2 powers going head-to-head, and we're going to spotlight a great matchup that's going to go on within that game.
Right, the football games are won and lost in the trenches, and that's where this game is going to be won and lost. Centennial has that great offensive line. Chandler has the great defensive line. Centennial's O-line led by national recruit Lath Freck at 1 tackle spot and Cameron Bennett at the right tackle spot. Going to be a huge matchup against Jordan Hoyt and Cruz Flores, the 2 big-time D tackles from Chandler High.
And Jordan Hoyt and Cruz Flores are interesting guys to keep an eye on because Jordan Hoyt, is coming off a season where he didn't play much.
Yeah, got injured in the preseason last year, actually trying to play left tackle a little bit. And he's a kid that's already getting offers despite missing his entire junior season with an injury.
So Centennial and Chandler have all of that talent on the outside, but that game will be won in the trenches by this great matchup between 4 players, 2 on each side, that should be playing on Saturdays. Next game to hit on, Great rivalry game as always, normally seen at the end of the season. This time we're seeing it week 1. Chaparral and Saguaro going up against each other. And there's two guys that play on the outside that might be guarding each other literally the whole game because they play wide receiver and defensive back.
Yeah, great matchup between Chaparral's wide receiver Tyler Wiley and junior corner wide receiver Christian Kirk over at Saguaro. Big time matchup between two kids that are national level recruits.
So Tyler Wiley, he's committed to ASU. What can we expect to see out of him this season?
Well, getting Izzy Simpson in from Hamilton is going to free him up, and having Trevor Wood there is going to allow a lot of single one-on-one matchups for Wiley. I expect a big season out of him.
And Christian Kirk had a very eventful summer. We had him here in studio as a part of our guest, as a guest analyst on the Recruiting Roundup. It was a big summer for him. What's the latest with him on a recruitment standpoint, and what can we expect out of him in 2013?
He still has those 20 offers, which is huge for a kid who hasn't even played a snap yet in his junior campaign. Nothing new on the recruiting front because it's just so early for him. But those offers are going to continue to roll in. If Christian doesn't have 50 offers by the time he's a senior, I'll be very surprised.
And finally, a small school matchup between two teams that should be in the thick of it down in Division 4. Joy Christian against Scottsdale Prep. Two potential recruits on display. Nick Henderson at Joy Christian are going up against Matt Munsell at Scottsdale Prep.
Yeah, this matchup intrigues me because both of these teams were playing 8-man football. Last year, Joy Christian they might end up having a leg up because they played a few games last year of 11-man ball to try to get used to this. So their quarterback, Nick Henderson, threw over 50 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions last year, leading Joy Christian to the Division 6 state title. And then Matt Munsell, what a player he is. He had 25 touchdowns receiving last year. That's ridiculous, not to mention what he does on defense. You see him, he's a hitter and had plenty of interceptions. So that matchup between those two is a very, very good one.
Should be a good one. Every week for the remainder of the season and beyond, we're going to bring you the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting. We're going to talk about matchups upcoming and recap the week prior and bring you the top prospects around Arizona and their progress as the season unfolds. Until next time, Jason Jewell, Jared Cohen, this has been the Recruiting Roundup on ProsToPreps.com.